Echoes of Eternity, a journey through the history of poetry in Persia. Chapter 1. The Poetic Tapestry of Ancient Persia. Persian poetry, a luminous thread woven through the tapestry of literary history, traces its roots back to ancient times, finding its genesis in the rich cultural and linguistic landscape of the Iranian plateau. The origins of Persian poetry are intertwined with the ancient traditions, myths, and linguistic evolution that shaped the Persian-speaking world. Let us embark on a journey through the annals of time to explore the fascinating origins of Persian poetry, uncovering the cultural and historical threads that gave birth to this venerable literary tradition. Ancient Persia and the Avesta. The roots of Persian poetry can be traced to ancient Persia, where the Zoroastrian religious tradition flourished. The Avesta, the sacred scripture of Zoroastrianism, is a foundational text that contains hymns, prayers, and poetic expressions. The poetic nature of the Avesta reflects the ancient Persian people's reverence for language and the divine, laying the groundwork for the poetic inclinations that would blossom in later centuries. The Avestan language, in which the Avesta is written, contributed to the early linguistic nuances of Persian poetry. While not the direct precursor to classical Persian, the Avestan tradition fostered a poetic sensibility that would shape the literary landscape of the region. Pahlavi literature. The transition from ancient to early medieval Persia witnessed the emergence of Pahlavi literature, a literary tradition rooted in the Middle Persian language. The Pahlavi texts, influenced by Zoroastrianism, continued the poetic heritage of the Avesta, introducing narrative elements and epics that laid the groundwork for future developments in Persian literature. Pahlavi literature includes epic poems, legends, and mythological narratives that echo the oral traditions of ancient Persia. These poetic expressions, characterized by their mythic imagery and moral themes, provided a cultural reservoir from which later Persian poets drew inspiration. Sasanian era. The Sasanian Empire, 224 to 651 c., marked a significant era in the development of Persian poetry. During this period, the Persian language evolved, incorporating elements from Middle Persian and Parthian. The courtly culture of the Sasanian court embraced poetry, fostering an environment where poets could flourish. The royal courts became centers of intellectual and artistic endeavors, and the role of the poet gained prominence. Poets known as deacons were esteemed for their eloquence, and their verses adorned the courts with praises for kings and expressions of love and nature. The Shahnameh of Ferdowsi. The crowning jewel of Persian epic poetry emerged in the 10th century with the monumental work of Ferdowsi, the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings. Commissioned by the Samanid rulers, Ferdowsi's magnum opus is an epic narrative that spans the mythical and historical realms of Persian history. The Shahnameh is not only a literary masterpiece, but a historical and cultural epic that encapsulates the essence of Persian identity. Ferdowsi's choice to write the Shahnameh in classical Persian rather than Arabic or Pahlavi played a pivotal role in shaping the trajectory of Persian literature. His decision to revive and elevate the Persian language ensured its continued prominence as a literary medium. Courtly poetry and ghazals. Following the Islamic conquest of Persia, Persian poetry evolved to incorporate influences from the Arab world. Courtly poetry, characterized by themes of love, beauty, and chivalry, became a prominent genre. Poets composed intricate verses, often in a lyrical and emotive style, which found resonance in the courts of Persian rulers. The ghazal, a poetic form emphasizing themes of love and longing, gained popularity during this period. Poets like Rudaki and Baba Tahir Yurian further contributed to the evolution of Persian poetry, infusing it with new stylistic elements and cultural influences. Mystical poetry and Sufism. The advent of mysticism and Sufism in the Islamic world added another layer to the tapestry of Persian poetry. Visionary poets like Attar, Rumi, and Sanai embraced Sufi themes, using poetry as a medium to express the mystical dimensions of spiritual experience. Their verses delved into the realms of divine love, unity, and transcendence, profoundly influencing the course of Persian literature. Rumi, in particular, emerged as a poetic luminary whose works, including the Mathnawi and his lyric poetry, continue to resonate globally. The fusion of Persian poetry with Sufi mysticism created a genre that transcended cultural and linguistic boundaries, leaving an enduring impact on the spiritual and poetic landscapes of the Persian-speaking world. Classical Persian poetry. The classical period of Persian poetry reached its zenith during the Timurid and Safavid dynasties, 14th to 18th centuries. Poets such as Hafez, Sadi, and Jaini distinguished themselves with their mastery of language, intricate metaphors, and profound philosophical insights. The ghazal, as perfected by Hafez, became a refined and exquisite form of expression, elevating Persian poetry to new heights. Sadi's Gulistan and Bostan, collections of prose and poetry, exemplify the synthesis of ethical teachings and artistic expression. The ornate gardens of his prose, rich with allegorical tales, became cultural landmarks that continue to influence literature and philosophy. Modern Persian poetry. The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed the evolution of Persian poetry in response to the challenges of modernity and the encounter with Western literary traditions. Poets like Mirza Ghalib and Ahmad Shamlu navigated the crossroads of tradition and innovation, infusing their verses with contemporary themes while preserving the poetic legacy of their predecessors. Contemporary Persian poetry, marked by diverse voices and a spectrum of styles, reflects the complex realities of the modern world. Poets like Forough Farrokhzad and Sohrab Sapari contributed to the feminist and environmental dimensions of Persian poetry, expanding its thematic breadth. Persian poetry in the diaspora. The diaspora of Persian-speaking communities brought the poetic tradition to new horizons. Iranian poets, living outside their homeland, continue to contribute to the global conversation through their verses. The themes of exile, identity, and nostalgia weave through the poetry of diasporic writers, creating a dynamic dialogue between the homeland and the adopted cultures. Persian poetry in the diaspora is not only a reflection of individual experiences, but also a testament to the resilience and adaptability of the poetic tradition. The cultural impacts of Persian poetry extends beyond geographical boundaries, fostering connections among diverse communities with a shared linguistic and literary heritage. The origins of Persian poetry are deeply rooted in the ancient traditions, religious texts, and courtly cultures of Persia. From the hymns of the Avesta to the masterpieces of Ferdowsi and the mystical verses of Rumi, Persian poetry has evolved and adapted, embracing diverse influences while maintaining its distinct linguistic and cultural identity. The journey through the origins of Persian poetry is a testament to the enduring power of language and artistic expression, a journey that spans millennia and continues to unfold with each new poetic voice that emerges from the gardens of Persian literary tradition. The poetic expressions found in the Avesta, the sacred texts of Zoroastrianism, offer a profound glimpse into the ancient spiritual and cultural heritage of the Persian-speaking world. These sacred verses, dating back over a millennium before the Common Era, serve as the spiritual heartbeat of Zoroastrian tradition and represent the earliest written form of the Persian language. To delve into the poetic tapestry of the Avesta is to embark on a journey through the roots of Persian verse, where the echoes of ancient hymns and prayers laid the groundwork for the rich tradition of Persian poetry that would flourish in later centuries. The Avesta, a spiritual tapestry. The Avesta, composed in the ancient Avestan language, is the primary scripture of Zoroastrianism, a monotheistic religion founded by the prophet Zoroaster, Zarathustra. The poetic expressions within the Avesta are woven into the fabric of religious rituals, prayers, and hymns, providing a guide for the Zoroastrian community in their spiritual practices. The Avesta is divided into several sections, with the Gathas, hymns attributed directly to Zoroaster, holding a central and revered place. The Gathas are poetic dialogues between the prophet and Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity in Zoroastrianism, and serve as a source of divine wisdom, ethical guidance, and devotion. Meter and rhythm in Avestan poetry. The poetic expressions in the Avesta exhibit a distinct metrical structure and rhythm, creating a cadence that enhances the oral recitation of the sacred verses. Avestan poetry employs various meters, including the Gathic meters and the younger Avestan meters, each contributing to the musicality and resonance of the verses. The rhythmic quality of Avestan poetry served a dual purpose. Not only did it enhance the memorization and oral transmission of the sacred text in a predominantly oral culture, but it also added a melodic and ritualistic dimension to the religious practices of the Zoroastrian community. Ethical and spiritual themes. The poetic expressions in the Avesta delve into a rich tapestry of ethical and spiritual themes. The Gathas, in particular, encapsulate Zoroaster's teachings on the dualistic nature of existence, the struggle between the forces of good, Ahura Mazda, and evil, Angra Mainyu, and the importance of ethical choices in human life. The ethical teachings in the Avesta emphasize concepts such as Asha, the divine order and truth, and the pursuit of a righteous and virtuous life. The poetic language serves as a conduit for conveying these profound philosophical ideas in a form that resonates with the hearts and minds of the faithful. Ahura Mazda's Hymn of Creation. One of the majestic hymns found in the Avesta is Ahura Mazda's Hymn of Creation, often celebrated for its poetic beauty and cosmological significance. This hymn describes the divine act of creation, the manifestations of cosmic order, and the benevolent nature of Ahura Mazda as the supreme creator. The poetic expressions in this hymn evoke a sense of awe and reverence, portraying a cosmic symphony where divine forces shape the fabric of the universe. The hymn becomes a lyrical meditation on the divine attributes and the interconnectedness of all existence. Symbolism and imagery. The Avesta employs vivid symbolism and imagery to convey its spiritual teachings. Symbolic representations of fire, water, and other elements are woven into the poetic tapestry, carrying layers of meaning that invite contemplation and interpretation. The Gathas, in particular, use metaphorical language and allegorical imagery to explore complex spiritual concepts. The poetic expressions become a canvas upon which the Zoroastrian worldview is painted, with symbols and metaphors serving as gateways to deeper spiritual insights. The influence of Avestan poetry on later Persian verse. The Avestan language and the poetic expressions found in the Avesta played a crucial role in shaping the linguistic and literary foundations of later Persian verse. The Avestan poetic tradition provided a cultural reservoir from which Persian poets drew inspiration, establishing a continuity between the ancient religious texts and the flourishing tradition of Persian poetry. As the Persian language evolved over the centuries, elements of Avestan poetry, including its metrical patterns and rhythmic qualities, influenced the development of Persian poetic forms. The reverence for language and the divine found in the Avesta resonated with later Persian poets who sought to capture the beauty of expression and convey profound spiritual truths. Preservation of cultural identity. The Avesta, with its poetic expressions, serves as a vital repository of Zoroastrian cultural identity. In the face of historical changes and cultural transformations, the sacred verses of the Avesta have been a resilient thread that connects Zoroastrians to their ancient heritage. The poetic expressions in the Avesta continue to be recited and preserved in religious ceremonies, ensuring the continuity of linguistic and cultural traditions. The endurance of Avestan poetry speaks to its significance not only as a religious text, but as a cultural anchor that links the past, present, and future. The Avesta's poetic expressions contribute to the enduring spiritual legacy of Zoroastrianism. The verses, infused with devotion, ethical teachings, and reflections on the nature of existence, continue to resonate with the spiritual aspirations of the Zoroastrian community. The spiritual legacy of Avestan poetry extends beyond religious boundaries, offering insights and contemplative themes that can be appreciated by individuals of diverse spiritual backgrounds. The universal themes of cosmic order, ethical living, and divine creation find echoes in the broader human quest for meaning and transcendence. The poetic expressions found in the Avesta represent the ancient heartbeat of Zoroastrianism, providing a poetic language through which the spiritual and ethical foundations of the faith are articulated. As the earliest written form of the Persian language, the Avesta laid the groundwork for the rich tradition of Persian verse that would unfold in the centuries to come. The echoes of Avestan poetry, with its metrical beauty and profound themes, can be heard in the verses of later Persian poets, creating a continuum that connects the spiritual heritage of ancient Persia with the vibrant tapestry of Persian poetry that flourishes today. Chapter 2. The Flourishing Gardens of Ghazal and Rubaiyat. The medieval period marked a golden age of Persian poetry, a luminous epoch where the art of verse flourished and literary brilliance reached unprecedented heights. This vibrant era, spanning from the 9th to the 14th centuries, witnessed the convergence of diverse cultural, intellectual, and artistic influences that propelled Persian poetry into a realm of unrivaled splendor. Let us embark on a poetic journey to explore the golden age of Persian poetry, where the verses of luminaries like Rudaki, Ferdowsi, Omar Khayyam, and Rumi adorn the literary landscape with timeless beauty and profound wisdom. Emergence of courtly poetry. The medieval period saw the emergence of courtly poetry as a prominent genre, taking root in the courts of Persian rulers and aristocrats. Poets, often referred to as deacons, became esteemed figures at the royal courts, crafting verses that celebrated love, beauty, and the ideals of chivalry. Courtly poetry, characterized by its refinement and elegance, became a hallmark of the Golden Age. Rudaki, often regarded as the Adam of Persian poetry, played a pivotal role in shaping the early contours of courtly poetry. His verses, marked by lyrical grace and vivid imagery, set the stage for the flourishing poetic traditions that would follow. Epic resurgence with Ferdowsi's Shahnameh. Ferdowsi, the literary giant of the Golden Age, embarked on an ambitious endeavor that would resonate across centuries, the composition of the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings. This monumental epic, written in classical Persian, is a magnum opus that spans the mythical and historical realms of Persian history. Ferdowsi's Shahnameh stands as a testament to the enduring power of storytelling. With its vivid narratives, epic battles, and moral lessons, the work not only preserves the cultural memory of ancient Persia, but also elevates Persian poetry to new heights. Ferdowsi's verses became a source of national pride and identity, symbolizing the resilience of Persian culture. Omar Khayyam's quatrains. The golden age of Persian poetry witnessed the emergence of the eloquent and contemplative quatrains, known as Rubaiyat. Among the luminaries who adorned this poetic form, Omar Khayyam stands as a poetic polymath, contributing not only to the realm of poetry, but also making significant strides in mathematics and astronomy. Omar Khayyam's quatrains, marked by their philosophical musings and existential reflections, resonate with readers across time. His verses explore themes of love, mortality, and the impermanence of life, inviting contemplation on the mysteries of existence. The Rubaiyat became a literary gem, admired for its profound simplicity and timeless relevance. Mystical dimensions with Rumi. The golden age of Persian poetry reached its zenith with the advent of mystical poetry, where the Sufi tradition found sublime expression in the verses of luminaries like Rumi. Jalaluddin Rumi, a 13th century poet and mystic, transcended the boundaries of conventional poetry, ushering in a spiritual renaissance. Rumi's Mafnawi and his lyric poetry delve into the realms of divine love, unity, and the spiritual journey. His verses, suffused with mystical insights and ecstatic devotion, became a beacon for seekers of truth. Rumi's influence extended far beyond the Persian-speaking world, permeating global literary and spiritual traditions. Ghazals and lyrical brilliance. The golden age of Persian poetry witnessed a proliferation of ghazals, a poetic form that became a refined and exquisite means of expression. Poets like Hafiz, often referred to as the tongue of the hidden, elevated the ghazal to unparalleled heights of lyrical brilliance. Hafez's verses, known for their emotional depth, intricate metaphors, and themes of love and wine, epitomize the quintessence of the ghazal. His divan, a collection of ghazals, became a literary masterpiece that continues to captivate readers with its nuanced exploration of human emotions and the divine. Influence of Persian Sufi poetry. Sufi poetry, with its emphasis on spiritual love and the quest for union with the divine, exerted a profound influence during the Golden Age. Sufi poets like Attar and Sanai added layers of mystical beauty to the poetic landscape, blending profound insights with allegorical tales. Attar's Conference of the Birds, Mantik al-Tayr, and Sanai's The Walled Garden of Truth, Hadakat al-Haqiqat, exemplify the mystical dimensions of Persian poetry. These works, rich with symbolism and spiritual allegories, serve as gateways to the transcendent realms of Sufi wisdom. Literary salons and cultural exchange. The courts of Persian rulers during the Golden Age became vibrant centers of literary salons, where poets, scholars, and intellectuals convened to share their literary creations. Cultural exchange flourished as Persian poetry embraced influences from Arabic, Turkish, and Central Asian traditions. The literary salons fostered an environment of intellectual stimulation and artistic collaboration. Poets engaged in poetic duels, known as muqabalas, showcasing their literary prowess and contributing to the dynamic evolution of Persian poetry. Diversity of themes and forms. The Golden Age of Persian poetry exhibited a rich diversity of themes and poetic forms. From the mystical verses of Rumi to the philosophical quatrains of Omar Khayyam and the courtly elegance of Hafiz, the poetic landscape was adorned with a tapestry of styles and expressions. Poets explored themes ranging from the ephemeral nature of life to the complexities of love, from the cosmic battles depicted in Ferdowsi's epics to the soul-stirring allegories of Sufi mysticism. This diversity reflected the depth and breadth of the human experience, inviting readers to immerse themselves in the multifaceted world of Persian poetry. Literary legacy and global influence. The Golden Age of Persian poetry left an indelible literary legacy that transcends geographical and cultural boundaries. The works of poets from this era continue to be celebrated and studied, not only within the Persian-speaking world, but also in translation and adaptation across the globe. The ghazal and rubaiyat, two exquisite poetic forms, have woven themselves into the fabric of Persian literature, epitomizing the richness and beauty of Persian poetry. These forms, characterized by their lyrical brilliance and succinct elegance, reached their zenith during the Golden Age of Persian poetry, with luminaries like Omar Khayyam and Hafiz leaving an indelible mark on these poetic traditions. Let's delve into the development of the ghazal and rubaiyat, exploring the nuances and timeless allure embodied by these poetic expressions. The ghazal, a song of love and longing. The ghazal, derived from the Arabic word ghazala, meaning to talk amorously to women, emerged as a poetic form in the Arabian Peninsula and found its artistic zenith in Persian literature. It is characterized by its structured rhyming couplets, a repeated refrain, and a central theme of love, often intertwined with themes of beauty, loss, and mysticism. Omar Khayyam, a polymath of the medieval period, exemplified the ghazal form with his profound and contemplative quatrains. While Khayyam is perhaps more renowned for his rubaiyat, His ghazals reflect a deep engagement with themes of transience, the impermanence of life, and the pursuit of knowledge. These ghazals lay the foundation for the philosophical introspection that would later become synonymous with the Rubaiyat. Omar Khayyam, the poetic polymath. Omar Khayyam, a mathematician, astronomer, and philosopher, is celebrated not only for his contributions to science, but also for his literary masterpieces, particularly his Rubaiyat. However, his engagement with the ghazal form demonstrates the versatility of his poetic expression. In Khayyam's ghazals, themes of love and philosophical musings intertwine seamlessly. His verses invite readers to contemplate the fleeting nature of life and the pursuit of pleasure against the backdrop of cosmic inevitabilities. Khayyam's ghazals serve as a bridge between the courtly traditions of earlier Persian poetry and the philosophical depth that would characterize the later development of the Rubaiyat. The Rubaiyat, quatrains of philosophical elegance. The Rubaiyat, a poetic form consisting of quatrains, four-line stanzas, gained prominence during the medieval period, becoming a canvas for poets to paint profound philosophical reflections, often with a touch of wit and irony. The form became synonymous with Omar Khayyam, who elevated the Rubaiyat to unprecedented heights of poetic brilliance. Khayyam's Rubaiyat, translated and celebrated globally, present a kaleidoscope of themes from the transience of life and the inevitability of death to the joy found in the present moment. The quatrains capture the essence of existential contemplation, inviting readers to ponder the mysteries of existence. Wine, time, and cosmic reflections. Themes in Khayyam's Rubaiyat. Khayyam's Rubaiyat are characterized by recurring themes that have become iconic in Persian poetry. The symbolism of wine, often interpreted metaphorically as the elixir of life or spiritual intoxication, permeates many quatrains. The poet contemplates the ephemeral nature of existence and encourages readers to savor the pleasures of the moment, for time, like a swift-flowing river, cannot be halted. The cosmic reflections in Khayyam's Rubaiyat add another layer of depth to the philosophical contemplation. The poet engages with the vastness of the universe, the inevitability of fate, and the insignificance of human endeavors in the grand cosmic scheme. Khayyam's Rubaiyat became a source of inspiration for subsequent generations of poets, illustrating the enduring power of his philosophical insights. Hafiz, the master of the ghazal. As the golden age of Persian poetry unfolded, Hafiz emerged as a luminary who enriched the ghazal form with his lyrical brilliance and spiritual depth. Often referred to as the tongue of the hidden, Hafiz's ghazals are characterized by their intricate metaphors, profound mysticism, and a nuanced exploration of love, both earthly and divine. Hafiz's mastery lies in his ability to seamlessly blend themes of earthly love with the spiritual quest for union with the divine. His ghazals often depict the lover's journey through the complexities of human emotion, serving as a metaphor for the soul's journey towards spiritual enlightenment. Themes of love and wine in Hafiz's ghazals. Love and wine, recurring motifs in Persian poetry, find exquisite expression in Hafiz's ghazals. Unlike the conventional expressions of courtly love, Hafiz's verses delve into the tumultuous and often paradoxical nature of love. The wine, symbolic of both earthly pleasure and spiritual ecstasy, becomes a central metaphor in his poetry. Hafiz's ghazals celebrate the intoxicating power of love and the transformative potential of spiritual awakening. The garden, a recurring image in his verses, symbolizes the locus of mystical experience, a sacred space where the lover encounters the divine and is transported to realms beyond the mundane. Musicality and mystical illusions. Hafiz's ghazals are imbued with a musicality that captivates the reader's heart. The rhythm and cadence of his verses create an enchanting melody that resonates with the soul. The poet's use of mystical illusions, drawing on Sufi symbolism and metaphysics, elevates his ghazals to realms of profound spiritual insight. The nightingale, a frequent visitor to Hafez's verses, becomes a symbol of the longing soul. The ghazals often depict the nightingale's yearning for the rose, a metaphor for the unattainable and the perpetual quest for spiritual union. Influence and enduring legacy. Both Khayyam's Rubaiyat and Hafez's ghazals have left an indelible imprint on Persian literature and beyond. The universality of their themes, love, mortality, the pursuit of pleasure, and the quest for spiritual transcendence, speaks to the enduring human condition. Translations of their works have introduced these poets to a global audience, cementing their place in the pantheon of world literature. The medieval period, often referred to as the Golden Age of Persian poetry, was a time of profound artistic expression, where mysticism, love, and philosophical themes intertwined to create a tapestry of lyrical brilliance and profound wisdom. During this era, Persian poets delved into the depths of the human soul, exploring the mysteries of existence, the ecstasy of divine love, and the philosophical nuances that define the human experience. Luminaries like Rumi, Hafez, and Attar emerged as poetic alchemists, transmuting the complexities of mysticism, love, and philosophy into verses that continue to resonate across time and cultural boundaries. Mysticism, a journey into the divine. Mysticism, with its emphasis on direct communion with the divine and the quest for spiritual enlightenment, became a central theme in medieval Persian poetry. Sufism, the mystical branch of Islam, played a pivotal role in shaping the mystical dimensions of Persian literature. Poets like Rumi, often regarded as the master of Sufi poetry, drew inspiration from Sufi teachings to craft verses that transcended the mundane and reached for the celestial. The mystical journey, known as the sulik, or wayfaring, became a recurring motif in Persian poetry. Poets envisioned the soul's quest for union with the divine as a transformative pilgrimage, navigating the inner landscapes of spiritual awakening. Rumi's Mathnawi and Attar's Conference of the Birds exemplify the mystical journey, inviting readers to embark on a path of self-discovery and divine communion. Love, the ecstasy of divine and earthly love. Love, both earthly and divine, permeated the verses of medieval Persian poets, infusing their works with a passion that transcended the boundaries of the physical world. The poets envisioned love as a cosmic force, a magnetic pull that binds the lover to the beloved, whether that beloved is a human soul or the divine. In the context of divine love, Sufi poets express the yearning for union with the ultimate reality, often referred to as the beloved. Rumi's ghazals and odes articulate the ecstatic states of divine love, where the lover dissolves into the beloved, and the boundaries between self and other vanish. On the earthly plane, Persian poets celebrated the nuances of human love, its joys, sorrows, and complexities. Hafez, the tongue of the hidden, explored the theme of earthly love in his ghazals, portraying the lover's journey through the labyrinth of passion. The wine, often symbolic of both earthly pleasure and spiritual intoxication, became a recurring motif in Hafez's verses, capturing the dual nature of love's ecstasy. Philosophical themes. Contemplation on existence and transience. The medieval period witnessed a flourishing of philosophical thought in Persian poetry, with poets engaging deeply with existential questions and the transient nature of life. Omar Khayyam, the polymath, is renowned for his philosophical Rubaiyat, where he contemplates the impermanence of existence and the inevitability of mortality. Khayyam's quatrains, often set against the backdrop of wine and the cosmic expanse, become mirrors reflecting the profound reflections on the fleeting moments of life. Themes of existential nihilism, the relativity of good and evil, and the pursuit of pleasure in the face of an uncertain fate permeate Khayyam's philosophical musings. Symbolism and allegory, unveiling hidden realities. Medieval Persian poets were adept at employing symbolism and allegory to convey hidden truths and unveil the mysteries of existence. Adder, in his Conference of the Birds, used allegorical tales to explore the stages of the mystical journey and the challenges faced by the seeker. The birds, each representing a facet of the human soul, embark on a quest for the mythical Simurgh, a journey that unfolds as an allegory for the soul's progression toward divine union. Rumi's poetry, particularly in the Mathnawi, is rich with symbolic imagery that invites readers to contemplate deeper meanings. The symbolism of the wine, the tavern, and the reed flute becomes a language through which Rumi communicates spiritual insights and the ineffable experience of divine love. The Garden of Metaphors, Nature and Symbolism. Nature, with its myriad elements, served as a rich source of metaphors and symbolism in medieval Persian poetry. The garden, in particular, became a symbolic space representing the locus of spiritual experience and the flourishing of the soul. Hafez, in his ghazals, often depicted the garden as a metaphorical space where the lover encounters the beloved and experiences moments of transcendence. The nightingale, a frequent visitor to Hafez's verses, becomes a symbol of the longing soul, its melodic song expressing the profound yearning for union. Ethical teachings and wisdom literature. Medieval Persian poetry, beyond its lyrical beauty and philosophical depth, often incorporated ethical teachings and wisdom literature. Sadi, in his Gulistan and Boston, combined narrative prose with poetry to impart moral lessons and timeless wisdom. Sadi's tales, adorned with poetic expressions, explore themes of justice, compassion, and the pursuit of virtue. The anecdotes and allegories in his works serve as mirrors reflecting the complexities of human behavior and the ethical principles that guide a virtuous life. Musicality and rhythmic elegance. The musicality of medieval Persian poetry, especially in the context of mystical and Sufi themes, adds an enchanting dimension to the verses. The rhythmic elegance of the ghazal and the melodic flow of Sufi poetry create a cadence that resonates with the heart and soul. Rumi's poetry, often accompanied by music and dance in the Sufi tradition, captures the rhythmic pulse of spiritual ecstasy. The Qawwali tradition, which evolved in South Asia, further magnifies the musicality of Sufi poetry, illustrating how the oral tradition of recitation and chanting enriched the spiritual experience. Legacy and global influence. The intertwining of mysticism, love, and philosophical themes in medieval Persian poetry has left an enduring legacy that extends far beyond the borders of the Persian-speaking world. Translations and adaptations of works by Rumi, Hafez, Adder, and other poets have introduced their timeless wisdom and poetic beauty to a global audience. Chapter 3. Epic Narratives, Shahnameh and the Persian Epics. The epic tradition in Persian poetry reaches its zenith with the magnum opus of Ferdowsi, the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings. This monumental work, composed over a span of several decades during the 10th and 11th centuries, stands as a testament to the grandeur of Persian literary heritage. Let us embark on a journey to uncover the epic tradition in Persian poetry, with a focused exploration of Ferdowsi's Shahnameh and its enduring impact on the cultural and literary landscape of the Persian-speaking world. The epic tradition, a tapestry of heroic narratives. The epic tradition, deeply rooted in oral storytelling and epic poetry, is a genre that weaves together heroic narratives, mythological elements, and historical events into a grand tapestry of literary splendor. Epics often serve as cultural repositories, preserving the collective memory of a community or a nation, and conveying moral and ethical lessons through the exploits of legendary heroes. In Persian literature, the epic tradition found its unparalleled expression in the Shahnameh. This monumental work, comprising over 50,000 couplets, encompasses the mythical and historical epochs of Persian history, chronicling the rise and fall of kings, the exploits of heroes, and the eternal struggle between the forces of good and evil. Ferdowsi, the epic poet of Persia. Ferdowsi, born in the late 10th century in the city of Tus, embarked on an ambitious endeavor to compile the entire history of Iran into an epic poem that would immortalize the heroic deeds of its kings and champions. Known as the Hakim, or wise man, Ferdowsi dedicated much of his life to the composition of the Shahnameh, a literary masterpiece that would transcend centuries and become a cultural touchstone for generations to come. Ferdowsi's commitment to the Persian language is evident in his decision to compose the Shahnameh in classical Persian, eschewing the Arabic influence that dominated Persian literature at the time. This monumental effort not only preserved the linguistic purity of Persian, but also positioned Ferdowsi as a national poet, contributing significantly to the development of Persian as a literary language. The structure of Shahnameh, an epic chronicle. The Shahnameh is divided into three parts: the mythical, the heroic, and the historical. The mythical section, known as the Shahnameh, or Book of Kings, delves into the prehistoric era, introducing legendary figures, ancient gods, and the creation of the world. This section sets the mythological foundation for the epic, drawing from ancient Persian and Zoroastrian traditions. The heroic section, comprising the bulk of the Shahnameh, narrates the tales of illustrious heroes and champions who shaped the destiny of Iran. Key figures include the legendary hero Rostam, the noble prince Sohrab, and the wise king Khosrow. These narratives blend history and myth, intertwining human and supernatural elements to create a rich and captivating narrative. The historical section transitions into recorded history, chronicling the reigns of various kings and the unfolding events of the Persian Empire. Ferdowsi's commitment to historical accuracy is evident in his meticulous research, drawing from a variety of sources, including ancient Pahlavi texts and the oral traditions of his time. Rostam, the archetypal hero of Shahnameh. At the heart of the Shahnameh stands Rostam, the archetypal hero whose legendary exploits and indomitable courage embody the heroic spirit of Persian mythology. Rostam's journey is an odyssey of heroism, marked by epic battles, divine encounters, and moral challenges. Rostam's iconic deeds, including his legendary battle with the White Demon, Divi Sepid, and his quest to retrieve the Simurgh feathered arrows, elevate him to the status of a national hero. The character of Rostam transcends the boundaries of time, becoming a symbol of Persian strength, virtue, and resilience. The tragic tale of Sohrab, love, deception, and destiny. One of the most poignant and tragic narratives within the Shahnameh is the tale of Sohrab, the valiant son of Rostam. Unbeknownst to both father and son, their destinies are entwined in a tragic web of deception and misunderstanding. The heartbreaking encounter between Rostam and Sohrab on the battlefield, with Rostam unwittingly slaying his own son, stands as a tragic pinnacle in Persian literature. The tale of Sohrab and Rostam is not merely a narrative of familial tragedy, but a profound exploration of fate, destiny, and the inexorable forces that shape human lives. Ferdowsi's poetic mastery shines in his ability to imbue the narrative with both emotional depth and universal themes that resonate with the human experience. Key themes: love, justice, and the eternal struggle. The Shahnameh encompasses a multitude of themes that resonate with the human condition. Love, both divine and earthly, threads through the narrative, manifesting in the relationships between heroes and heroines, kings and queens. The concept of justice, embodied in the righteous rule of benevolent kings and the quest for a just order, becomes a recurrent motif. The eternal struggle between the forces of good and evil is a central theme, epitomized by the heroic battles between champions like Rostam and the malevolent figures like Div Sepid. This overarching theme reflects Ferdowsi's moral vision, where virtue, righteousness, and courage stand as pillars in the face of adversity. Symbolism and allegory. Layers of meaning. Ferdowsi's artistry extends beyond the narrative into the realm of symbolism and allegory, The Shahnameh becomes a canvas upon which Ferdowsi paints allegorical tales that convey profound truths and moral lessons. The white demon, for instance, is not merely a supernatural adversary, but a symbol of the inner demons that humans must confront on their moral journeys. The use of symbolism and allegory adds layers of meaning to the epic, inviting readers to engage in contemplation and interpretation. Ferdowsi's poetic genius lies in his ability to infuse the narrative with multifaceted dimensions that transcend the literal and evoke deeper reflections on human nature and the cosmic order. Impact and cultural significance. The Shahnameh is not merely a work of literature, it is a cultural and national treasure that has shaped the identity of the Persian-speaking world for over a millennium. Ferdowsi's dedication to preserving the language, history, and ethos of Iran has solidified his status as a cultural hero. The Shahnameh has inspired countless adaptations, artistic interpretations, and cultural expressions across various mediums. From miniature paintings and illustrated manuscripts to theatrical performances and modern retellings, Ferdowsi's epic has endured as a source of inspiration for artists. Persian epic poetry, a rich tapestry woven with heroic tales, mythical stories, and historical narratives, stands as a testament to the cultural and national identity of Iran. These epics, deeply rooted in the oral traditions of ancient Persia, have served as a repository of the nation's collective memory, transmitting cultural values, historical events, and timeless wisdom across generations. Let us embark on a journey to explore the foundation of Persian epic poetry, delving into the heroic exploits, mythical narratives, and historical sagas that have shaped the cultural and national landscape of Iran. The heroic exploits. Rostam and the archetypes of courage. At the heart of Persian epic poetry lies the archetype of the hero, and no figure embodies this archetype more profoundly than Rostam. The legendary hero Rostam, whose exploits are chronicled in Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, stands as an enduring symbol of courage, strength, and virtue. His tales traverse the realms of myth and history, portraying a hero whose indomitable spirit and prowess in battle become a beacon for generations to come. Rostam's iconic deeds, from his battles with mythical creatures like the White Demon to his tragic encounter with his own son Sohrab, resonate with universal themes of heroism, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. His character transcends the boundaries of time, becoming a cultural touchstone for Iranians and a symbol of national resilience. Mythical narratives, gods, demons, and the creation of the world. Persian epic poetry weaves a rich tapestry of mythical narratives that delve into the creation of the world, the interplay of gods and demons, and the cosmic forces that shape the destiny of humanity. The mythical section of Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, known as the Shahnameh or Book of Kings, introduces readers to the ancient pantheon of Persian mythology. In these mythical narratives, ancient gods like Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity associated with goodness and light, contend with malevolent forces such as Ahriman, the embodiment of evil and darkness. The cosmic struggles between these forces mirror the eternal battle between righteousness and malevolence, establishing a moral and metaphysical framework that underpins Persian epic poetry. Historical narratives, kings, dynasties, and the unfolding tapestry of Iran's past. Beyond the realms of myth, Persian epic poetry unfolds a panoramic view of historical narratives that chronicle the rise and fall of kings, the formation of dynasties, and the tumultuous events that shape the course of Iran's past. Ferdowsi's Shahnameh transitions seamlessly from mythical epochs to recorded history, providing a comprehensive account of the Persian Empire. Kings like Jamshid, the legendary monarch who introduced the arts of civilization, and Kai Khosrow, the wise and just ruler, become central figures in the historical narratives. The portrayal of historical events, battles, and the intricacies of courtly life add depth and authenticity to the epic, creating a vivid tapestry that connects the reader with Iran's storied past. national identity, and cultural values, transmitting the soul of Iran. The heroic tales, mythical stories, and historical narratives embedded in Persian epic poetry serve as a potent vessel for the transmission of Iran's national identity and cultural values. The virtues upheld by the epic heroes, such as courage, loyalty, justice, and wisdom, reflect the cultural ethos of Iran and continue to resonate in the collective consciousness of the Iranian people. The Shahnameh has become more than a literary work. It is a cultural touchstone that transcends generations, forging a sense of shared identity and continuity. The epic not only preserves the linguistic purity of Persian, as Ferdowsi intended, but also encapsulates the soul of Iran, carrying forward the cultural legacy of the nation. Cultural resilience and national pride. The heroic tales within Persian epic poetry, particularly those of Rostam, embody a spirit of resilience and determination in the face of adversity. Rostam's unwavering courage and unyielding commitment to justice become a source of inspiration, symbolizing the resilience of the Iranian people against external threats and challenges throughout history. The epic tradition, with its emphasis on the triumph of good over evil, also fosters a sense of national pride. The stories of kings and champions who defended the sovereignty of Iran against foreign invasions resonate deeply with Iranians, reinforcing a collective pride in the historical legacy of their nation. Ethical lessons and wisdom literature. Narratives for moral guidance. Persian epic poetry goes beyond mere storytelling. It serves as a repository of ethical lessons and wisdom literature. The narratives within the Shahnameh often convey moral teachings, illustrating the consequences of virtue and vice, the importance of just governance, and the complexities of human relationships. Sa'di, another luminary in Persian literature, continued this tradition of imparting ethical wisdom through his works, such as Gulistan and Bostan. The inclusion of such moral guidance in Persian epics reflects a broader cultural commitment to fostering ethical behavior and virtuous living. Universal themes and cross-cultural appeal. While deeply rooted in Iranian culture, Persian epic poetry transcends national boundaries, resonating with universal themes that span the human experience. The struggles of heroes, the quest for justice, the complexities of love and family, and the eternal battle between good and evil are narratives that find echoes in diverse cultures around the world. The cross-cultural appeal of Persian epics is evident in the global admiration for the Shahnameh. Translations and adaptations have introduced these timeless tales to audiences worldwide, fostering a broader appreciation for Persian literature and contributing to a more nuanced understanding of Iranian culture. Artistic expressions and adaptations. Keeping the epics alive. The enduring significance of Persian epic poetry is also manifested in various artistic expressions and adaptations. Illustrations, paintings, theatrical performances, and even modern interpretations in literature and film have kept the epics alive, breathing new life into these ancient tales. Chapter 4. The Safavid Renaissance. Poetry at the heart of Persian courts. The Safavid era, spanning from the early 16th to the early 18th century, stands as a golden epoch in Persian history, marked by a cultural renaissance that left an indelible impact on the arts, literature, and, notably, poetry. This transformative period unfolded under the patronage of rulers like Shah Abbas the Great, who recognized the power of poetry to shape cultural identity, articulate political ideals, and foster intellectual flourishing. Let's delve into the Safavid era, exploring the cultural renaissance that provided an illustrious backdrop for the thriving poetry in the courts of Shah Abbas and his successors. Safavid Renaissance, a flourishing of arts and culture. The Safavid dynasty, established by Shah Ismail I in the early 16th century, sought to consolidate and strengthen the Persian identity after years of political and cultural turbulence. The Safavids embraced the rich cultural heritage of Persia, emphasizing Persian language, literature, and the arts. Under the visionary leadership of Shah Abbas the Great, 1588 to 1629, the Safavid Empire witnessed a renaissance that transformed not only the political and military landscape, but also the cultural and artistic spheres. Shah Abbas the Great, architect of a cultural resurgence. Shah Abbas, recognizing the influential role of culture in shaping a strong and unified empire, became a patron of the arts and sciences. His capital, Isfahan, emerged as a cultural epicenter where poets, scholars, and artists converged to contribute to a blossoming cultural revival. Shah Abbas's patronage extended beyond the courtly elite, reaching the common people and fostering a sense of cultural unity. Safavid poetry, an artistic flourishing. Poetry, a long-standing tradition in Persian literature, experienced a remarkable flourishing during the Safavid era. The courts of Shah Abbas became vibrant hubs where poets, often referred to as dewans, gathered to share their compositions, engage in literary discussions, and participate in poetic duels known as muqabalas. This poetic renaissance extended beyond the royal court, permeating various strata of society and contributing to the broader cultural landscape. Divan poetry, aesthetic refinement, and elegance. The Safavid poets excelled in the tradition of divan poetry, characterized by its formal structure, exquisite rhyme schemes, and thematic diversity. The divan served as a poetic anthology, a collection of verses that showcased the poet's mastery of language, eloquence, and depth of expression. Safavid poets, both at the royal courts and in regional centers, enriched the divan tradition with their own distinctive styles and thematic explorations. The influence of Sayyid Tabrizi, a pioneer in Persian poetry. Sayyid Tabrizi, often regarded as the pioneer of a new Safavid style of poetry, played a pivotal role in shaping the literary landscape during this era. His verses, marked by intricate metaphors, eloquent expressions of love, and a sophisticated use of language, set the stage for a more refined and ornate style of Persian poetry. Sayyid's influence extended to subsequent generations of poets, leaving an enduring impact on the evolution of Safavid poetry. Mystical dimensions. The legacy of Shah Abbas and the Safaviya order. Mystical themes, rooted in Sufi traditions, continue to be a prominent feature of Safavid poetry. Shah Abbas, in particular, had a deep connection to Sufi orders, notably the Safaviya order, which played a pivotal role in the establishment of the Safavid dynasty. The mystical dimensions of Safavid poetry explored themes of divine love, spiritual journey, and the quest for union with the divine. Kutai and the Azerbaijani contribution. Regional diversity in Safavid poetry. The Safavid era witnessed the emergence of poets from various regions, contributing to the rich tapestry of Safavid poetry. Kutai, an Azerbaijani poet, exemplified the regional diversity of Safavid literary expression. His compositions, often infused with elements of Azerbaijani folklore and cultural nuances, added a distinct flavor to the Safavid poetic tradition. Courtly elegance and ghazals. The courtly atmosphere under Shah Abbas cultivated a poetic style characterized by elegance, refinement, and an emphasis on courtly themes. The ghazal, a poetic form that had been flourishing since the medieval period, continued to be a favored genre. Safavid poets, while exploring traditional themes of love, also engaged with courtly etiquette, political allegories, and reflections on the transient nature of life. Parvin-e-Tasami, a female voice in Safavid poetry. While the Safavid era is often associated with male poets, the later part of the dynasty saw the emergence of female voices, breaking traditional gender norms. Parvin-e-Tasami, a prominent Persian poet of the 20th century, drew inspiration from the rich Safavid poetic tradition. Her work, characterized by social awareness, humanism, and lyrical beauty, Saadi, the luminary of Persian literature, stands as a timeless figure whose works illuminated the courts, inspired a revival of Persian literary arts, and left an indelible mark on the cultural and intellectual landscape of Iran. Flourishing during the medieval period, Sa'di's poetic genius transcended the boundaries of his time, capturing the complexities of the human experience, imparting moral wisdom, and contributing to the revival of Persian literary arts. Let us delve into the life, works, and enduring legacy of Sa'di, exploring how his contributions became a beacon for subsequent generations of poets and thinkers. Sa'di, the Sage of Shiraz. Sa'di, born in Shiraz, Iran, in the early 13th century, circa 1210, navigated the tumultuous political and cultural landscape of his time. His full name, Musleh Uddin Abdallah Shirazi, reflects his identity as a man of letters and a sage whose wisdom would resonate across the centuries. Sa'di's life unfolded against the backdrop of the Mongol invasions and the subsequent establishment of the Ilkhanate, a period marked by both political upheaval and cultural dynamism. The Journey of Wisdom, Sa'di's Travels and Experiences. Sa'di embarked on a journey of self-discovery that took him to various corners of the known world. His travels extended across the Middle East, including regions such as Anatolia, Iraq, and Syria. These journeys exposed Sa'di to the diversity of human experiences, enriching his understanding of different cultures, traditions, and the universal aspects of the human condition. Sa'di's masterpiece, the Gulistan, the Rose Garden. The pinnacle of Sa'di's literary achievements is undoubtedly the Gulistan, a masterpiece that transcends its time and cultural context. Completed in 1258, this work is a collection of prose and poetry, blending tales, anecdotes, and moral reflections. The Gulistan is a testament to Sa'di's narrative skill, philosophical insight, and keen observation of human nature. The Gulistan is structured into 8 chapters, each exploring various aspects of life, morality, and wisdom. The tales within the Gulistan range from humorous anecdotes to profound parables, providing readers with a kaleidoscopic view of the human experience. Sa'di's narrative artistry and ability to convey complex moral lessons with simplicity make the Gulistan an enduring classic. The power of simplicity. Sa'di's literary style. Sa'di's literary style is characterized by its simplicity, elegance, and accessibility. He had a remarkable ability to distill complex moral and philosophical concepts into concise and poetic expressions. Sa'di's language is both lyrical and down-to-earth, making his works not only intellectually stimulating but also relatable to a broad audience. The simplicity of Sa'di's style is evident in his use of everyday language, incorporating colloquial expressions and idioms that resonate with readers across diverse backgrounds. This accessibility contributed to the widespread popularity of Sa'di's works, ensuring their enduring relevance through the centuries. Universal themes: humanity, morality, and justice. One of Sa'di's most profound contributions lies in his exploration of universal themes that transcend cultural and temporal boundaries. The Gulistan touches upon fundamental aspects of the human experience: love, friendship, justice, morality, and the inevitability of death. Sa'di's insights into human nature continue to resonate with readers globally, reinforcing the enduring power of literature to address timeless questions. Wisdom literature, ethical teachings, and pragmatic philosophy. Sa'di is often considered a master of wisdom literature, a genre that imparts moral and ethical teachings through literary expression. The Gulistan serves as a compendium of practical wisdom, offering guidance on ethical conduct, interpersonal relationships, and virtuous living. Sa'di's pragmatic philosophy, grounded in human experiences, addresses the complexities of life with a balance of humor and profundity. The ethical teachings embedded in Sa'di's works reflect a commitment to fostering virtue, justice, and compassion. Sa'di's emphasis on the universality of ethical principles resonates with the humanist tradition, reinforcing the idea that moral values are shared across diverse cultures and societies. humanism, and compassion. Sa'di's concern for the common man. While Sa'di lived during a period marked by political turmoil and social upheaval, his works reflect a deep concern for the common people. His empathy for the struggles of everyday individuals, expressed through tales and anecdotes, underscores Sa'di's humanism and compassion. Sa'di's writings remind rulers and elites of their responsibilities toward the welfare of the general populace, emphasizing the importance of justice and benevolent governance. Influence on Persian poetry. Sa'di's enduring legacy. Sa'di's influence extends far beyond his lifetime, shaping the trajectory of Persian poetry and literature. His emphasis on simplicity, ethical teachings, and an exploration of the human condition inspired subsequent generations of poets, including luminaries like Hafiz and Jami. Hafiz, often referred to as the tongue of the hidden and another giant of Persian poetry, drew inspiration from Sa'di's humanistic approach and mastery of lyrical expression. Hafiz, while weaving his own mystical tapestry, acknowledged Sa'di's impact on Persian literature and embraced the legacy of ethical teachings embedded in Sa'di's works. Cultural revival and Safavid patronage. Sa'di's impact on Persian Renaissance. Sa'di's legacy found fertile ground during the Safavid era, a period marked by a cultural revival under Shah Abbas the Great. The Safavid rulers, recognizing the cultural and intellectual significance of Sa'di's works, became patrons of Persian literature, fostering an environment where poets and thinkers could thrive. The courtly atmosphere of the Safavid era, characterized by a flourishing of arts and intellectual pursuits, provided a backdrop for the continued appreciation and study of Sa'di's works. The Gulistan and other writings by Sa'di became essential components of the literary canon, contributing to a broader Persian Renaissance that endured for centuries. Artistic expressions. Sa'di's influence on visual arts and music. Sa'di's impact transcends the realm of literature, extending to visual arts, music, and various forms of cultural expression. Artists throughout the centuries have been inspired by the narratives and themes within the Gulistan, creating illustrations. Chapter 5. Modern Persian Poetry. Voices of the Contemporary Age. The evolution of Persian poetry into the modern era is a captivating journey that reflects the shifting socio-political landscape, the quest for individual identity, and the continuous exploration of new forms of expression. As we traverse the path from classical to modern Persian poetry, we encounter a diverse array of voices, each contributing to the rich tapestry of Iranian literary heritage. This exploration will delve into the works of influential modern Persian poets such as Farrokhzad, Ahmad Shamlu, and others who have left an indelible mark on the poetic landscape. Classical heritage and the dawn of modernity. Persian poetry has a time-honored tradition dating back to the medieval period, with luminaries like Rumi, Hafiz, and Sa'di shaping the classical canon. As the Qajar dynasty ushered in the 19th century, poets such as Mirza Ghalib and Mirza Khan Kermani began experimenting with new themes and forms, marking the dawn of modernity in Persian literature. Nima Yushij, the pioneer of new poetry. The true catalyst for the modernization of Persian poetry was Nima Yushij, 1896 to 1960. Often referred to as the father of modern Persian poetry, Nima challenged the conventions of classical forms and introduced free verse, a departure from the rigid structures of ghazals and qasidas. His innovative approach, characterized by simplicity and a focus on everyday language, sparked a revolution in Persian poetry, opening the door for subsequent generations of poets to explore new avenues of expression. Nima's themes were deeply rooted in the socio-political context of his time. He explored the complexities of identity, the impact of modernization on Iranian society, and the quest for personal and national authenticity. Nima's influence was transformative, setting the stage for the flourishing of modern Persian poetry in the mid-20th century. Farrokhzad, the iconoclast poetess. Farrokhzad, 1935 to 1967, emerged as a trailblazing figure in modern Persian poetry, particularly for her fearless exploration of taboo subjects and the challenges faced by women in Iranian society. Her poetry delves into themes of love, desire, and the female experience, breaking the traditional norms that had confined women's voices for centuries. Farrokh's debut collection, The Captive, was a groundbreaking work that showcased her mastery of both traditional and free verse. Her poetry, marked by emotional intensity and a vivid exploration of human relationships, resonated with readers and contemporaries. Farrokh's life and work challenged societal expectations, and her untimely death at the age of 32 further solidified her status as a cultural icon. Sohrab Sapari, Nature and Spirituality. Sohrab Sapari, 1928 to 1980, was another influential poet of the modern era who departed from traditional forms and engaged with themes of nature, spirituality, and existential contemplation. His poetry reflects a deep connection with the natural world, often using vivid imagery of landscapes and seasons to convey profound philosophical and spiritual insights. Sapari's collection, The Green Volume, is a testament to his poetic vision, emphasizing the intertwining of the human spirit with the rhythms of nature. His exploration of existential questions and the pursuit of meaning resonated with readers seeking a more contemplative and spiritually oriented approach to poetry. Ahmad Shamloo, the Rebel Poet. Ahmad Shamloo, 1925 to 2000, was a multifaceted literary figure who played a pivotal role in modern Persian poetry. His work encompassed a range of styles, from traditional ghazals to modernist free verse. Shamloo's poetry delved into the socio-political realities of his time, critiquing authoritarianism, censorship, and advocating for social justice. Shamloo's collection, A Bewildered Garden, is considered a landmark in Persian literature, showcasing his linguistic innovation and thematic richness. His prolific career extended beyond poetry, encompassing translations, essays, and editing literary journals. Shamloo's courage in addressing social and political issues made him a beloved and influential figure among Iranians seeking intellectual and cultural freedom. Simin Behbahani, The Voice of Dissent. Simin Behbahani, 1927 to 2014, often referred to as the Lioness of Iran, was a prominent poet who used her verse to challenge political repression and advocate for social justice. Her eloquence and courage earned her admiration and respect both in Iran and internationally. Behbahani's poetry is characterized by its potent combination of lyricism and a fearless commitment to speaking truth to power. Behbahani's thematic range was vast, encompassing love, loss, and social critique. Her poems, such as those in Maybe It's the Messiah and Bride of Acacias, illustrate her ability to blend personal and political elements, creating a powerful and resonant poetic voice. Modern Persian poetry in exile. The political upheavals in Iran, particularly the Islamic Revolution of 1979, led to the exile of numerous intellectuals, including poets. Many of these exiled poets continued their literary pursuits, contributing to the global dissemination of modern Persian poetry. Poets like Yadol Aroi, Parto Nouriala, and others brought the complexities of diasporic experiences to their verse, exploring themes of identity, nostalgia, and the impact of displacement. Contemporary voices. The landscape of modern Persian poetry continues to evolve with contemporary voices that navigate the complexities of the 21st century. Poets like Simin Danishvar, Mohsen Ahmadi, and others explore diverse themes, from the digital age and globalization to social justice and individual identity. These poets use a variety of forms and styles, reflecting the dynamic nature of modern Persian poetry as it engages with the ever-changing world. Global recognition and translation. Contemporary Persian poetry unfolds against the backdrop of a dynamic and often tumultuous socio-political landscape, reflecting the profound impact of political and social changes on poetic expression. As Iran has navigated a complex journey through revolution, war, and the challenges of the 21st century, poets have become powerful voices, capturing the nuances of their experiences and engaging with themes ranging from identity and exile to resistance and the quest for freedom. This exploration delves into the intricate interplay between political and social transformations and the diverse voices that shape the vibrant landscape of contemporary Persian poetry. The political and social tapestry. Iran's modern history is marked by a series of political upheavals, each leaving an indelible mark on the nation's socio-political fabric. The 1979 Islamic Revolution, the Iran-Iraq War, and subsequent political developments have all contributed to a landscape where poets grapple with the complexities of power, ideology, and societal change. The revolutionary fervor, the challenges of war, and the ensuing socio-political dynamics have become fertile ground for poetic exploration. Contemporary Persian poets often find themselves at the nexus of dissent and repression, their verses becoming vehicles for expressing resistance to political oppression. The Iranian government's censorship apparatus, which seeks to control and regulate artistic expression, has given rise to a subtle but potent form of resistance within poetry. Poets navigate the delicate balance of conveying dissent while evading the constraints imposed by the authorities. The Iranian diaspora, shaped by political events and waves of emigration, has produced a significant body of poetic work that explores the themes of exile, nostalgia, and the complexities of identity. Poets who have left Iran for various reasons, including political persecution, have contributed to the global landscape of Persian poetry, infusing it with diverse perspectives and a nuanced understanding of displacement. Azida Garman, an Iranian-Swedish poet, exemplifies the diasporic voice that has emerged from political and social changes. Forced into exile due to her activism and poetry, Garman's works traverse the boundaries of languages and cultures, embodying the themes of displacement, loss, and the enduring connection to her homeland. Her poems, often melancholic yet resilient, speak to the universal experiences of those caught between worlds. Mehdi Akhavan-Sales, a renowned Persian poet who lived through the tumultuous years of the Islamic Revolution and the Iran-Iraq War, became a witness to the profound changes that shaped his homeland. His poetry reflects the emotional and psychological impact of these events on individuals and society. Akhavan-Sales' lyrical expression captures the sense of loss, disillusionment, and resilience that characterize a nation in the throes of transformation. Simin Behbahani, often referred to as the Lioness of Iran, utilized her poetry as a powerful tool of resistance against political oppression. A staunch advocate for human rights and social justice, Behbahani fearlessly addressed political authorities and challenged societal norms. Her verses, both poignant and confrontational, became a rallying cry for those who sought change and a testament to the enduring power of poetry in the face of adversity. Layla Farjami, Bridging Cultures Through Poetry. Layla Farjami, an Iranian-American poet, embodies the bridging of cultures and the impacts of political and social changes on poetic expression. Her work, influenced by both Persian and American literary traditions, speaks to the complexities of identity, the immigrant experience, and the search for belonging. Farjami's poetry serves as a cultural bridge, inviting readers to explore the intersections of diverse worlds through the universal language of verse. Freedom, identity, and the power of the individual. Contemporary Persian poets grapple with the quest for freedom and the assertion of individual identity against the backdrop of a society shaped by political ideologies. The tension between individual aspirations and societal expectations, between personal freedom and the constraints of authority, becomes a central theme in the poetic exploration of contemporary Iranian voices. feminine perspectives. The changing role of women in Iranian society has been a focal point for many contemporary Persian poets. The struggle for gender equality, the complexities of female identity, and the societal expectations placed on women are recurrent themes. Poets like Faro Farrokhzad, Shola Wolpe, and other women writers have become significant contributors to the discourse surrounding feminine perspectives in contemporary Persian poetry. Shola Wolpe, Exploring Femininity and Freedom. Shola Wolpe, an Iranian-American poet, brings a unique perspective to contemporary Persian poetry, navigating the intersections of identity, feminism, and the immigrant experience. Her poems delve into the intricacies of gender dynamics, the quest for autonomy, and the resilience of the human spirit. Wolpe's bilingual works reflect the fluidity of cultural and linguistic identities, embodying the fusion of Persian and English languages in her poetic expression. Persian poetry in the digital age. The advent of the digital age has transformed the landscape of Persian poetry, providing new avenues for expression, dissemination, and engagement. Social media platforms, blogs, and online publications have become spaces where poets share their work, connect with global audiences, and navigate the challenges of censorship. The digital era has facilitated the democratization of poetic expression, allowing diverse voices to flourish in virtual communities. Cultural resilience and the poetic spirit. Despite the challenges posed by political and social changes, the poetic spirit in Iran remains resilient. Poets continue to draw inspiration from the rich tapestry of Persian literary heritage while pushing the boundaries of tradition. The diversity of voices, themes, and stylistic approaches within contemporary Persian poetry reflects the vibrancy of a literary tradition that adapts, evolves, and persists in the face of adversity.